asking me what kind of better world would I want, or what I see as a better world.
Yeah. Why don't you tell me about that?
My optimal world is like where people have no secrets that would hurt anyone.
Yeah, we've already talked about that kind of stuff, but like more about what does it look like? Who's there? Like in this world of yours, what people are there in this best possible world of yours? Who's there? What kind of people? Is your secret mysterious family there? Is your mom there? Is your grandpa there?
The secret family's there, and you're there, and I'm there.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of really good people are there.
Where's your mom?
Yeah. She's kind of off to the side, learning how to be nicer and kinder to other people.
If your story is true and I was kidnapped and your mom signed a contract to keep it a secret and be a part of keeping that a secret and knowing that there was this happening, that's a crime. Okay? And if your story is true, everybody who has taken part in it has participated in a crime. If what you said is true, a crime has been committed. And I don't want to get lost in the fantasy of some old man there to take care of my mom being a mean person. No, if what you're telling me has been true, she committed a crime. Your grandpa committed a crime. They kept it secret that someone had been kidnapped from their family, and they partook in keeping that secret. And part of what I'm trying to teach you is to see that side of this story that you're telling me. To see that side that your mom and grandpa, if your story is true, are nothing more than people who took part in a crime. Criminals. And we need to see it that way. Or we need to see your story is not true.
That means that they're criminals then.
So if you're willing to take your story so far that it makes your mom and grandpa into criminals, then what reason does someone have to disbelieve you? You're willing to turn your mom and grandpa into criminals for this story. You stick by the truth. You don't build a fantasy of where it's all of a sudden going to be all right for the people who committed the crimes and they're going to get special kind old people who know how to live life to teach them how to be better people. That's not reality, is it?
No.
No.
Some of those old people won't really be there.
No. But looking at the truth will. And if your story is true and I was kidnapped, that's a crime. And all the people who took part in keeping that a secret and knowing about it and keeping it from me
are criminals.
Took part in that crime. So for me, and that's why it's so important, because the only people I know that aren't criminals are you, because even though this story is super hard to believe, at least you're trying to tell me the truth, and that makes you the good guy.
But I'm still not innocent.
But you're still not innocent. Yeah, exactly. So you have to be willing to stand by your story so much that it even means that your mom and grandpa become criminals.
And I am.
Then stick by that. Don't give them a fantasy world where this turns out okay for them. Yeah, because your story didn't stop with your family just hanging out around your table trying to ruin my life, which technically isn't a crime, or it didn't stop with your family just taking you to Freemason temples because they wanted to introduce you to the family religion.
That's not a crime.
That's not a crime. Right? But because this whole story was centered around that there was a wall of pictures of my life at the Mason temples, because this Mr. Dewity came into your lives to tell you to get rid of me, because that was the center of it, and because the center of all that was to keep a secret of kidnapping, that's a crime. See, and that's another reason we're doing this, is to solve a potential crime. To get people's help to solve something that may have been a crime that happened a long time ago, but it was brushed under the rug and kept a secret, so no one ever found out about it. Now someone found out about it. It's a crime and a secret that's been going on for 38 years. 38 years. And you want to give the people involved happy old men to teach them how to be. You do understand that, right?
I do. There are people trying to stop us.
They're the people trying to stop us. And we let them deal with their own lives. It's their job to go find how to be a good person.
Are looking for our family.
Yeah. And they know where they are.
But they're not telling us.
No. And technically, we really don't have to go looking. But because they're not willing to tell us where our family is, we have to go looking.
Because we don't already know where they are.
No, but they do. Your mom knows exactly where they are. If what you're saying is true. She's been told everything about them. She's been told what to exactly keep you away from, and she's told you what questions that you're not allowed to ask. She's been totally told about my whole family because she told you about. So let's get back to talking about the more beautiful world that you imagine. Who's really there?
Good people are there.
The good people are there. Not the people that make us crazy.
The good people.
It's funny how that works, huh? Because you deserve a family, I deserve a family, and we didn't deserve this to be involved in this. We didn't choose to be involved in it. And wouldn't have chosen to be involved in it even if given the choice, would we?
No. No, we wouldn't.
No.
Especially not after knowing what we know now.
Apparently a long time ago, someone just decided that we were going to be involved. And then because of that, we didn't deserve to have a normal type of family, you know. You know, in my case, because of it, I didn't deserve to have a mother and father call me on birthdays or Christmases. Because of it, your chance to be with your father every day was taken away from you. I mean, because we never even spent an overnight together until what, you were 9 years old? 8, 9 years old? Something like that?
Yeah, before that, when we would see each other, it was like on Sundays.
Yeah, for an hour or so at a time. So up until you were 8 or 9 years old, these people did everything in their power to even make it so I couldn't be with you. So, yeah, your story's hard to believe, but when you look at what's really happened, it's not really that hard to believe. When you look at what's really happened. When you don't just pass it off and you don't just go, wow, that's too crazy to believe, so I'm going to ignore it. But when you really look at what's happened over the last 12 years, it doesn't make your story very difficult to believe. It really doesn't.
It makes the pretending that everything is quote-unquote normal more crazy sounding.
Yes. It means you're ignoring what's happened. You know, and you've gotten a lot smarter over the last few months, which has been very, very helpful. Because before that, you didn't see any of it. Before, you were just like, no, I believe what I'm being told, even if it's not happening. If you tell it to me, I believe it. Right?
Right. I used to be that way.
Yeah, but now you're looking more at things like, okay, I'll believe it, but then I want to see it. And so now, your relationship with your mom and your grandpa's kind of gone down the tubes. Your relationship with your grandma's kind of gone down the tubes because, like, you used to live with her and see her every day, and now what? You see her once every 6 months?
Around there.
Yeah. Somehow gonna find this family because the people that know about them, like I said, won't tell us where they are.
Yeah.
They just won't. Like I said, all I got is making a painting. I gotta look at it honestly. I gotta look at it that your story is at the expense of my life, and all these people have gotten to live happy lives at the expense of mine. People agreeing to do this, if it is true, it says that people basically signed a contract that said my life's not important. That's not okay with me. Because I'm not doing that to anybody else's life, am I?
No.
So why is it okay for someone to do it to my life?
It's not. And you don't really spend much time around, like, interacting with, like, people, actually talking to people.
At all.
At all. And, like, the only person you really talk to, like, honestly, is me.
Mm-hmm. You're the only person I talk to outside of work. And most times at work, if I didn't have to talk to people, I probably wouldn't.
But you have to.
Yeah, it's work. You ask me what I do every day after work is I'm trying to come up with ideas to help find this family.
And is that really why you're doing all the computer programming you're doing?
Mm-hmm.
Like, outside of work?
Yes. Yeah, because I created something for programmers, and I figured maybe if I create something that programmers can use, maybe it'll help me find my family. I'm having a bit of a difficulty. I'm stuck in the middle of a story where my kid tells me that he knows his family was a part of a secret society that kidnapped me, and I'd like to find my family. So, hey, I don't mind entertaining you a bit. How about you kick back, help me find my family? Doesn't seem so bad.
Not at all.
Right?
There really is no problem in that.
So, and it gives me a safe bet that if people don't want to help me, they're either assholes or they're part of this secret group of people.
Or both.
Or both. Because what kind of person wouldn't want to help someone who may have been kidnapped find his family? Someone who is either involved or just a complete asshole.
Somebody who thinks this is all fake.
Or someone who thinks this is all fake. Most people out there don't have to spend one day of their life going, hey, who's my real family? Where are they at? And are they looking for me?
And who are they?
Are they thinking about me? And who are they? Right?
A lot of people just know who their family is.
Yeah, they just know, so they don't have to think about it.
Yeah. They know their family.
Yeah. They have that pleasure. Right? Just like you. You're just getting to know me, your dad, and you're 12 years old. You're just getting to know what kind of person I am. For 11 years, or however long, you believed I was the guy that was going to end the world, so you weren't ever going to spend a single second getting to know me, were you?
No, I wasn't.
So it's just been in the last year where you've really stopped and started paying attention and taken the time to get to know your dad a little bit, right?
Right.
And what have you found?
I've found that you would never hurt anyone.
Because so many people, even if their lives suck, they still have family. They still know who their parents are. Other people don't. Some people were put up for adoption, but at least they know they were put up for adoption.
And that the people that take them in after they got put up for adoption.
Wanted them.
Wanted them, yeah.
You know, they weren't some family that you just got placed with because some powerful dude said, you have to do this.
It's because they wanted the person.
Yeah.
No matter how old or young.
Exactly. Not because of some deal that got made. Maybe it doesn't look exactly the same, but I think I see it because we've kind of been through this together for the last little bit. You know, since you started talking.
And since you started figuring out that I could talk.
Yeah, since I figured out you could talk. Yeah, that was a big mystery, is like keeping it a secret from me that you could talk, because it helped you keep your secrets easier, pretending like you couldn't.
Or just had a very hard time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a hard time for me to get through, because it was like all of a sudden it was like I had a totally different son coming over every other weekend. Kid who went from like only being able to say 4 or 5 things to all of a sudden yeah, difficult time. So we were taking a break and kind of talking outside. And what did you say you wanted to talk more about?
How the story was affecting my life.
Yeah, and how is that?
Because, you know, when I started telling you about the story, my whole life pretty much just took a turn for some parts better, but other parts for the worse.
Like what parts for the worse?
My family completely just stopped talking to me, pretty much.
Yeah, that's kind of for the worst, huh?
Yeah.
But did they used to talk to you before?
They used to talk to me a little bit before.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they weren't so, they weren't trying so hard to distract themselves from reality so that I could talk to them.
So does it seem like they're doing whatever they have to avoid talking to you?
Yeah, it does. Very, very much so.
And when did this start?
When I started telling you about every part of the story.
About the family?
Yeah, about the family, and even before that. Like when I started just telling you the whole story.
Yeah. It started getting more and more silent.
Yeah.
How'd that make you feel?
Just like I was in a bunch of lies over there.
It just felt like you were in a bunch of lies.
Yeah. And the only way that I wouldn't feel like I was in lies was when I was telling you the story.
And that's why you like talking about it.
Yeah, because I know it's the truth, and it helps me feel better as well to talk about it.
I bet. I mean, it's hard to listen to. Really hard. It's even harder to experience. You know, because being on this side of it, you can't imagine the experience of this, especially being your father and you going through this with your other family.
Because you don't know what really was going on.
No, and all I know is that everybody involved in the situation seems to be doing whatever it takes to keep me away from you. That's what I know. So you can kind of see where I'm at with this. Is what I know is just everybody involved in this situation is doing whatever it takes to keep me away from you. And ever since you started telling me your story, everybody in my life has gone away. And So what else did you want to talk about that?
Oh, that ever since I started talking about the story, you're really the only person that I could talk to.
That kind of became that, didn't I?
Yeah.
Because the person you were previously working against all of a sudden became the only person you could talk to.
Yeah. About really anything.
Yeah. And don't ever forget that you told me you made a deal with Mr. Dewity to sell my life for an Xbox.
Yeah, I've never forgotten that.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah, don't forget that.
I would never, and I have never.
And then you got that Xbox, and I still went and bought you a video game for it. And then you never played it. Did you?
No, I started out playing it and then just realized it still sucks.
Why?
Because it also sucked too when you gave me a game for the one thing that I made a deal with for when I made a deal to destroy your life. It sucks even more when you got me a game for the one thing that I made a deal for destroying your life.
Because your part of the deal was you were going to get an Xbox.
Yeah. And when you gave me a game for that Xbox, it just totally sucked because it was like more of a reminder than the Xbox itself. And because it didn't even take me to play it. Like just by seeing the game and the Xbox, it just was like a total reminder. Like I didn't even have to play it or really touch it.
How many times have you played it?
10 times.
So, you made a deal to destroy my life for an Xbox that you
and it turned out way not worth it.
And you only played it 10 times.
Yeah, because it turned out way not worth it.
It always does. I told you that.
Yeah.
I told you that. When you were going through it, I was like, kid, it's not going to be worth it.
And it's not. Yeah, that kind of turned my life into crap.
No, don't use blanket words. What did thinking that way turn your life into? What happened in your life? You got an Xbox you didn't play. You got a mom that didn't talk to you. You got a grandpa that ignores you. You got a grandma that doesn't come around anymore.
Right.
I see how the people in your family used to treat you, and I see how they treat you now. They used to be kind to you. They used to treat you like you were a good little boy, and you used to run around and tell everyone that you loved them all the time. And then all of a sudden, something happened, and you stopped running around telling people you loved them all the time. That's what you used to do, is you would just run around to everybody and tell them how much you loved them. Then something happened. You would run around and tell everybody how much you loved them. You would run around to your grandma, and your mom would be like, Mom, I love you more than anything. And your mom would say, Trenton, I love you too. And you would do it to your grandma. And then all of a sudden, something changed, and your grandpa came back into your life, and all of a sudden you weren't that kid running around telling everyone you loved him anymore. That's the change I'm talking about. That's the change I think that you're not wanting to admit. Right? Now, whether that change happened because I came back into your life, or whether that change happened because of the decisions of the adults around you, it doesn't really matter, but that change happened, and that's the change that this story caused in your life.
It made it so that I would feel really uncomfortable just running around telling people I love them all the time.
I mean, that's kind of what we're dealing with, because they even took this so far to get paperwork saying you had emotional problems and to not deal with you, right?
And attention problems.
And attention problems, and they made you look like you had problems with lying and making up stories, right?
Right.
So no matter what you do, even if you try to tell people the truth, they've made it so apparent no one's going to ever believe you. They've set it up perfectly.
They make an excuse of how it's just to protect me.
Yeah.
Protect me from what? That's... I was thinking, protect me from what, when they would say that they were just trying to protect me from something. Because that's kind of what got me to just try not to talk to people.
Well, that's how your mom set it up.
Because I found that if I try and talk to someone, I get shut up.
Yeah, it's like, what type of life do you think you'd be living if you got to spend more time around me?
A life where I wouldn't be afraid to talk or be afraid that I was going to get shut up all the time.
In your life, how many times have you asked to go outside and play?
In my life, probably a lot of times.
And how many times have they ever said yes?
None.
None. So, you also part of that story is you've lived a life with a family that won't even let you go outside. Your family won't let you go outside and play. Does your family let you have friends?
Not friends over.
Yeah.
Unless they approve of the friend first. And the friends that is approved is most likely the one kid that's really like them in this.
The one kid that has a parent that's part of the group, right? That's what you're afraid of.
Yeah.
Because they have to approve your friends.
And I can't just have friends that I actually like over.
And in your life, how many friends have you ever had over to your life or to your house?
One.
And how many times did he come over?
2 times. That I remember.
Yeah. So in your 12 years of life, you've had one friend who's only come over to your house 2 times. Now, the next part of the question is, when you go out, how often do you go outside alone to do anything?
Never.
Never. Who's usually with you?
Usually Grandpa.
So your grandpa is always with you to monitor what you say and do, right?
Right.
Wouldn't he even chaperone your school field trips?
Yeah.
And does he drive you to school every day so you can't take the bus like a normal with all the other kids?
And possibly see one of the kids that I'm friends with at school.
Yeah. So you get driven to school every day so you can't interact with other kids. You get picked up from school every day.
So that I can't interact with other kids.
Yeah. Then when you go home, what do you do?
Most of the times I just start doing homework.
Mm-hmm. Then after you're done homework, what? Do you guys sit down for to eat dinner or
no,
what?
I usually start watching TV and eating dinner in front of the TV.
And how do you get your dinner?
It's usually just put in front of me.
It's usually just put in front of you.
Yeah.
So while you're sitting there in TV land, not talking to anyone, watching TV, someone just comes over and puts your dinner in front of you. No one talks to you. No one sits down with you. And what do? Do they sit down and eat with you?
No.
What do they do?
They just go and if they're eating dinner, then they go somewhere else to eat. but they never sit down with me and eat.
Ever?
Ever.
Not one time?
Not once.
In your whole life?
Not in my life that I can remember.
But when other people are around, you guys have gone out to dinner, to restaurants, and...
When other people were around.
Say that again?
Just when other people were around.
So what happens when other people are around?
It's like I have to be on my best behavior. I have to act like who I'm not.
What do you mean?
Because I have to act all happy and like nothing's wrong and like my life is normal.
Mm-hmm.
And it just hurts.
And who tells you to act like that?
Definitely Mom.
Definitely?
Mm-hmm. Like, no doubt about it.
And have you ever in your life sat down and had like a one-on-one, like, hey, Mom, I'm having a problem in life. Can we sit down and talk? How many times in your life have you ever done something like that?
Only once.
And what happened?
It got so escalated that my mom just had to, or didn't have to, but she just left the room.
And what were you asking her about?
Why she was acting the way she was, why she was so mean all the time.
So you wanted to ask your mom why she was so mean all the time, and what did she do again?
And she was like, I don't know what you're talking about the first time I asked that. And then I started out asking her that calmly, and then it just escalated where we were both shouting at each other.
How long did that last?
An hour or two.
Yeah. And then was that the last time you tried to talk to your mom?
It wasn't the last time I tried, it was the last time I succeeded.
And what was the last time you tried?
Probably in the car on the way here.
What did you try and talk about?
The same thing.
Again,
because that was never answered.
and how did the conversation go this time?
Yeah, it didn't really escalate, but she just turned up the music so that I couldn't, she couldn't hear what I was saying.
So she shut you out.
Yeah. Shut me up and shut me out.
See, and it's these behaviors that tell me that something is really, really wrong behind the scenes here.
A life where you don't have to go looking for your family.
Yeah, and a life where I don't have to look over my shoulder every day wondering who's following me around.
Or who's gonna join the secret group next.
Yeah, or who around me is going to sign a contract for a promise because some dude seems to do that all the time, and the people that do it are always new, and they don't know the other people that have done it and failed in the past, so it's always like, hey, new guy, come sign this contract. Mess up this guy we're working against, and we'll give you everything you want. That's really the kind of life I live underneath the hood now. When I meet people, I'm like, okay, so are you someone who signed a contract, or are you one of the regular people? And if you're one of the regular people, how long is it going to be interacting with me before you become one of the people that signed a contract?
That means the more new people you interact with, the more are threatened in that way.
Yeah.
And it's really not you in person. It's that they sign for something they want in exchange to like mess with you.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of times after they meet you, but don't really know who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Or what you like or those things.
Yeah, and the other part of that is do you think most of those people would agree to take part in it if they knew they were keeping a secret that I was kidnapped? If they knew they were taking part in that, do you think they would
no.
do that?
Heck no.
So that's a big secret he keeps from everybody. It's sure, you're going to offer me to do that? I don't know this guy. Sure. That's what everybody else is going to be like. Sure, I don't know that guy. I got a family. I'll take that deal.
Without knowing exactly why.
Without knowing why. And without knowing who they're doing it to. And they don't ask questions because they're not allowed. Because once you sign that contract, guess what?
You can't ask questions that are prohibited.
Yep, can't ask questions. You do what you're told. You know, just like your copy of the contract said that you showed me, covenant above all else. So you even wrote out a copy of this contract that people sign, right? And I took that to the FBI. So I know that there's no hope for me. I know there's no hope for my life. Because I've called lawyers, I've called Child Protective Services, I've gone to the FBI.
Nothing has helped.
You all laugh at me.